All right, so moving on to the next segment, I'll be sharing my quick thoughts on Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, the trilogy being announced next in the sport of boxing. So, big news for women's boxing that the news broke a few days ago that July 11th, Friday, July 11th, this year, we will be seeing the trilogy fight between Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor. That fight will be taking place in New York City on an all-women's boxing card that will be presented by Most Valuable Promotions, and it'll be streamed on Netflix. So, man, this is amazing for women's boxing. I mean, Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano having the trilogy was the right call here. The first two fights between Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano were really close, and it's debatable who won the first two fights because you guys can have your own judges' scorecards. They were very close fights, and in my opinion, I believe that Amanda Serrano won the first two fights. I believe she did enough to win the first fight out there in New York, and I think she did enough to win the second fight on that when she was in the co-main event slot on the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight card. But Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, they deserve to headline and main event their own card for the trilogy based on how much that fight meant for women's boxing, how they stole the show. And it's debatable if that accidental headbutt that Katie Taylor had on Amanda Serrano, if that headbutt never happens, the way Amanda Serrano was coming out hot, coming out the gates, landing the power strikes, putting the power on Katie Taylor, she was hurting her with a lot of shots. She possibly could have landed a knockdown or knocked out Katie Taylor in that previous fight that we saw on the Jake Paul Mike Tyson card. And there's a case to be said that a robbery was done. A robbery was done that night. Because if you look at every category, Amanda Serrano outlanded Katie Taylor in every category. But Katie Taylor got the unanimous decision victory over Amanda Serrano. So, hey, this trilogy is going to be epic. I think this is what both ladies want. This is best for business. But yes, this trilogy is going to be epic. And this is probably going to be the final time that we see this fight between these two respective women, even if Amanda's successful or not. I think this is going to be the final time because Katie Taylor doesn't have much longer left in the sport of boxing. She's in her late 30s. But one thing I really wish we could have got for this trilogy, I wish it could have been a 12-round fight. 12 3-minute rounds for this trilogy, just like the men. Because that's how significant these women have brought us here. How significant that moment has brought us here for women's boxing. And I gotta say, that was probably the greatest. Those two fights between Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano was probably the greatest women's fights that I ever witnessed in combat sports. Boxing or MMA, I've never seen anything better than those two respective fights. But that event will be ran, like I just said a few moments ago, by Most Valuable Promotions, Jake Paul's promotion, because Amanda Serrano is signed with Jake Paul and Most Valuable Promotions. It's going to be streamed on Netflix. Jake Paul tweeted that this will be an all-women's card. So all women boxers will be a part of this card. Now, somebody that I would love to see in the co-main event, and this is just throwing my wishes out there, but a fight I would love to see in the co-main event would be between Alicia Baumgartner and Chantel Cameron, a fight that could be a catchweight between 135 and 140. Now, I know Alicia Baumgartner holds titles at 130, but I think if you could get a catchweight between Alicia Baumgartner and Chantel Cameron, a catchweight between 135 and 140 on the co-main event, with the winner of the co-main event fighting the winner of the trilogy between Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. That would be best for business, and everybody will win here because there would be some big-time fight. There are still some big-time fights that could happen in these women's divisions here in boxing. That'd be the perfect way because Chantel Cameron is also deserving of a trilogy with Katie Taylor. I'm actually surprised that Katie Taylor didn't do the trilogy first with Chantel Cameron, but money talks. Because Chantel Cameron actually did beat Katie Taylor and is the only woman to take a loss from Katie Taylor. She did lose for the first time against Katie Taylor, but take her O for Katie Taylor. Both women have taken their zeros from each other. So I'm surprised that trilogy actually didn't happen next. But in a perfect world, co-main event, catchweight, 135 to 140. Alicia Baumgartner versus Chantel Cameron. fighting the winner of Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. That's the direction I would go in next. But those are my thoughts on Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano, Part 3, the trilogy coming soon in women's boxing.